Hello friends, and welcome to My Hobby Home. My name is Cathy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know you'll notice my build backdrop is gone today. We have a little sunshine, so I wanted to let what little I'm getting in today. So welcome to our Tester Tuesday. I am working on a pattern from the pattern basket. This pattern is called Pumpkin Charms. Now there is another alternative pattern to this. Like I said, this is Pumpkin Charms. There is a pattern at Fat Quarter Shop by Riley Blake. It's called Pumpkin Paper Tonal Quilt. That is an alternative. If you want to do a sew along with me, you can grab that and use that one. But like I said, the one I'm using is from the pattern basket, so I won't be giving measurements, but I will show you my progress when we do the sew along. Today, I am just testing out a block of this pattern. I am using Willow's Farm by Deb Strain. Because this pattern, I can tell you what fabrics it calls for. It calls for 1 5-inch charm pack, and it needs to have green squares in it, and then 25 autumn squares, and 1 1/8 yards background and sashing, 1/2 yard for the border, 1 yard for the backing, and 1/2 yard for the binding. Now, I am using my regular white. I don't know if it's Kona, what it is, but I have a bolt of it, so that's just what I use as my background. But I'm using Willow's Farm. I'm not going to say necessarily these are fall colors, but I like them, and there is green in it, so I'm using it. So let's get into it. So I love this pattern because in the description, it tells you, like, cut out 25 pumpkin blocks, and it shows you how to cut them out. And it tells you from your background fabric how many you're going to need for each block. So that way, I didn't have to cut all of my fabric today, but I did cut enough to do the one block. Our first thing we are going to do, now, they do label everything A, B, C, D, you know, and so forth. It is telling me to start with an A. So that is my A. It has a lot of tiny pieces, and I know at one point I had to make 100 little pieces. And for one block, we will take 2 of our backgrounds, and we are going to put them on the top left, bottom right. So we are just going to get on into testing this to see if this is the one we want to do for the sew along. I feel pretty certain it is, because I have been wanting to do this pattern for quite some time. And y'all, this is smashing my stash also, because my background completely out of my stash. And I had purchased the Willow's Farm. And I purchased this pattern too because I wanted to make it. But I knew I would be able to smash my stash with it also. So I have my background is coming out of that. And you know, if I buy it, it's my stash. So I'm trimming my threads off here. Being that I'm only doing one block, I have the time to do that. And this does tell you draw diagonals, which, you know, I do that anyway because I don't trust myself on a diagonal. But it's a working, and it's a looking good. And y'all, I was telling y'all, it is Tuesday morning. You will see this video this evening. Please do not forget to go vote. I just got a notification that my bobbin something has happened with my bobbin. Let me check. Did I run out? I sure enough did. So I will be right back, guys. I'm going to refill my bobbin, and while I'm doing that, of course, I'm going to clean my machine in the process. Okay, so now I have that bobbin changed, and as I was filling my bobbin, I ran out of thread. So I've got a new spool of thread also. Now it looks like what I am going to do from here, so now we have a piece here, and I'm going to trim away from each edge of that diagonal line. So now we have our first square done here. So now we're going to our next step, which is we take a B block and our F blocks, and we are going to put one of these in each corner of the square. Now, this would be real easy to do when you're doing more than one, when you're doing all of them. It would be a lot easier to do than it is to do one block at a time. So, just keep that in mind. It'll be a whole lot quicker. But we just want to see what this first block looks like. How easy it is to do. So we've got the first one done, and then I'm just going to alternate the corners. Not that that makes a difference, but it's just a habit of alternating corners there. So this morning, I am off work today because it is election day. Yeah, I'm double cutting my thread in hopes that it will cut easier, and I don't have so many long strings, but for some reason, I don't know why, but my machine does not cut the thread very good. It never has, so I've always had to trim a lot of threads and stuff. Now we're adding on our third corner, but back to me being off for election day. It is the perfect, well, and I have my exterminator is coming today, so I can't sew all day. I was hoping to be able to, but when my exterminator comes, I like to make sure everything in my house is done. And, you know, when my husband is not here, I really don't do any house cleaning because I barely even eat here, and a lot of times it's eaten out, so it's garbage. I just create garbage. I don't cook a lot of food, and a lot of times I do cook on the weekends for things to eat during the week when he's not here, and you know, I don't mind having leftovers. But my daughter came over last night and we had dinner together, so I did cook. Nothing special, but I did cook, so I do have dishes from that I need to get cleaned before my bug man comes today. So after I get this block done, that is what I will be doing. And plus, I want to catch up on my laundry. I'm awful about doing laundry. Okay, so we have our four corners done here. I'm going to check and make sure. I believe what I'm going to do is trim all of these off. Let me show you there. I have all four corners done. We are going to trim that 1/4 inch. I'm going to, this is going to be a leaf section here. So this is going to be my leaf that's at the top of my block. And I'll be right back after I trim and press. Now we have that block done, and this does give you pressing instructions on which way to press everything, so don't fear, it should all come out good. So our next thing that we are doing is you have to have a matching set of, I think it's a stem. Let me find my D and I'll show you, and my G. Wait, a D and G and an E and G. Okay. Oh, an E and an H. And when you're cutting, it does tell you to keep like certain ones together. like these two here is a set. They're the same fabric. And I think this is where we're making our stem. Not quite sure, but I am going to do this. Now, some of these do right-facing stems and some do left-facing stems, and they tell you how many to do. So right now, I am doing a right-facing stem. And you do both of them the same way. One I'm doing on a background. One is a background on a printed fabric, and one is a printed fabric on a background. And also, once again, these work better when you can do more than one at a time. Okay, so now I have this is part of my stems here. So I am going to see how I trim. And it looks like they both press to the longer fabric. So instead of flipping this up and pressing this up, we will lay it flat down and we will lay it flat like this and roll that and press. So now you see how these are coming together here. So that's those two pieces. Let's see what we have next. That is it for the stems, because I'm only doing one block, so I don't want to follow all the instructions. So now what we're doing is putting this together. So we have a background piece, and then we have our leaf piece, and then that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, it looks like they're done in 2 rows. Like your top row is going to be your leaf and stem row, and your bottom row is just, oh, it's directional. That's not good. So all of my things that I did directional, they're going to be laying on their sides. Doggone it. I have another charm pack that I probably, and I'm going to do that. So, one moment, guys. I've got to find my other charm pack, and I'm going to cut it down. Okay, so for my tester block, I'm going to go on and just do this how it is. And for when I start doing the quilt, I will get my directionals straightened out. And I just noticed the reason it was telling us to press those in different directions is so it would nest. So, y'all, that's going to be really good. If all of this nests, that will make this a lot easier. But try not to run over that pin. And the pattern and fabrics that I'm using today, I did get at Stitched in Faith Quilt Shop. They do have all of this still on hand because I was there this morning. I was picking up my quilt from the quilt show. And of course, I had to get some more fabrics. That looks really tiny, but I'm trusting the process. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and press everything and be right back. Here is our leaf and stem. So now I am going to attach that to the bottom piece, and once again, we are going to be nesting a seam here. Oh, this is so nice that they thought about this, because that way I can pin that seam, and that's the only seam that does nest. Everything else just kind of goes right on you know, nothing else matches. So we're going to get that sewed together, and we will just about be done with our top block, or our first block, not our top block. I was reading my paper and it said something on top, so well, guys, this is our very first block. That was so quick. Now, once again, this block here is going to be directional. When you're cutting it, you want to lay that charm on its side. So, like right there, my little piggy is sideways. He needs to be upright. So, I will go and cut my cuts to where they are directional, and that just means I'll have all of these here for something in the future. But guys, thank you so much for joining me for our Tester Tuesday. This is going to be a cute little pumpkin. Let me see what it's called again. This is called Pumpkin Charms. I will have the link for this pattern down in the description. I will have Stitched in Face information also down in the description, since that is where I got this from. I'll have the pattern. I'll have the fabrics. The line that I'm using in case you want to use this line. And I will have the alternate pattern also linked down in the description. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this block. Check out the other pattern if you would like to join me in the sew along. I will be doing this sew along on Saturday mornings. I will release the videos at 9 a.m. I know there are a lot of lives going on Saturdays, but I will sew about an hour with you guys, or try to give you about an hour-long video so y'all can sew along with me, have enough time to get some things done there. And leave a comment. Tell me what you think. I do try to respond to each and every comment personally. And as always, until I see you again, I hope you have a very blessed day. Goodbye.